we have the City of Kimberley parcel tax imposition bylaw. I think your speaker's on. Thank you. The motion on the floor is that this particular bylaw be adopted. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor McGuire, thank you. And Councillor Cairns seconds. Krista, we good?
Yeah, I'll just mention that, as I just mentioned at the last meeting, this would see a $2 increase from the 2024 parcel tax.
Right, okay, thank you. I would also mention that, you know, for anybody who either has any comments or any feedback, as we have mentioned a couple of times before, the Engage Kimberley, the web page on our website called Engage Kimberley is an opportunity for everybody to provide comments, you know, plus or minus, and let us know what you think. Okay, call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And the third item is the City of Kimberley 2025 tax rates bylaw. The motion on the floor is that this bylaw be adopted. Mover, please. Councillor Roberts, thank you. And Councillor McGuire seconds. Krista?
Yeah, this bylaw just summarizes the tax rates for the municipal, hospital, and regional districts for 2025.
Right, thank you. Sounds like we've moved through these things fairly quickly, but we have had extensive conversation around the table. And in addition to feedback on Engage Kimberley, we also, through the YouTube channel, have access to past meetings where we've discussed much of this in detail. Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. All right, next up under new business, we have the 2025-2026 Resident Directed Grant Program. That's the CBT Ready Grants and the allocation recommendations. The motion on the floor is the council approve the CBT Resident Directed Grant Program funding allocation as presented in the report from the Manager of Community Development. Mover, please. Councillor Roberts, thank you. And Councillor McBain seconds. All right, Pam. Did you want to make any comments, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Resident Directed or Ready Grant Program is funded by Columbia Basin Trust. It's administered by the Regional District of East Kootenay. The grants require no funding from our local government, but they certainly do make a massive impact on all of our local organizations. This year we had $97,000 roughly to give away. We had $227,000 in grant requests. So on April 7th, we met at Centennial Hall and all applicants came and gave short presentations on their projects. It was an extensive night. There were 48 applicants. Most of them showed. And then afterwards, just a few short days later, the selection committee met and we adjudicated each grant, and this is where we landed with the $97,000.
All right, Councillor McBain.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment that you know, it feels like the selection committee, you know, compared to how we've done things in the past, the distribution actually seems fairly consistent to what we had done in the past. So just from my quick observation, it seems like the selection committee, you know, was a good idea, and it seems like we're getting at least, you know, similar results and consistent in the distribution. So I think that was a good way to go.
Thank you. Further comments? Big thank you to the committee. I think everybody's in terms of the grant applicants, I think everybody's happy that they were heard, that their applications were looked at and given serious consideration, and hopefully they're happy with the money. All right, call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Second part of this is that council authorized the release of funding allocation spreadsheet to the program administrators at the regional district so that the RDEK board may consider approval of the allocations and distribute the funds accordingly. Motion, please. Thank you, Councillor Cairns. Councillor Fox seconds. Any comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Excellent. Thanks for all your work on that, Pam. This process, we try and make it a little bit better every year, but it's not easy. And we really appreciate the work you do on that. All right, next up, we have a motion on the discretionary grant application, and that is the council approves the discretionary grant application submitted by Lauren McKinnon on behalf of the Kimberley Pipe Band and direct staff to provide $1,000, a $1,000 grant as authorized by the community grants policy. Councillor Roberts, thank you. Councillor McGuire, seconds. Comments? Go ahead, Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The pipe band was in Amsterdam, and spent today playing at Vimy Ridge. The comments were, you can't imagine how important this feels. So I'm glad they're there.
That's awesome. Great, great feedback. This trip has been planned for a long time. It was postponed and on again, and it's really good to see that they finally made it. Further comments, council? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next up, we have the financial update report for the first quarter, January 1st to March 31st, 2025. Motion on the floor is that council receive the report for information. Mover, please. Councillor Cairns, thank you. Councillor McBain, seconds. Krista, Paul's notes. I think any variances, significant variances, if you could point those out for us, that would be awesome.
Right. I think it's on the operations side. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the operations side, it's a pretty routine business. You'll notice when we get into capital and non-capital project, there's very little spending in the first quarter. However, as we move into the second quarter, the construction season, you'll see the spending ramp up, of course.
Yeah, things never line up
Yeah.
month by month, do they?
That's right.
Go ahead, Councillor McBain.
Yeah, I highlighted a few things on here, and one thing I was surprised to see, and I see Sean's here today. Under administrative and common services, you know, our actuals versus our budget for licenses and fees and bylaw enforcement, we're over in one case and just nearing 100%. So that's just, I found that quite interesting. And what was the other one I was going to point out?
I can maybe speak to the
Yeah, go ahead while I'm searching for the
bet.
next one. Thanks, Kristen.
For licenses, we bill in January for the full year, so we see the full revenue recognized in the first month of the year.
Okay, that perfect explanation. Thank you. And one other question, if I may, Mr. Mayor. On these, there was, and I just picked one as an example. There was a skid steer sweeper attachment for, the budget was 16,500 and the cost was 12,042. So one-time purchases like that, if we're under budget, maybe this is, I guess, well, Krista, this would be for you. So that residual value on those one-time purchases, does that just go into like general revenue after on that savings, or how do we recapture that?
So it depends on how it's funded, but in most cases, it just means that we didn't need to pull all those funds from the reserve. So it's just available for another project.
I had a few others, but they're minor, so.
Okay.
Further, council? Call the question. All those in favor of receipt? That motion is carried. All right, speaking of bylaw, Sean is here with the first quarter report for animal control and bylaw enforcement. Welcome, Sean.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm hoping you've had a chance to peruse the report already. Big thank you to Jasmine. She's helped me spruce it up a little bit, make it a little bit nicer. We kind of decided this time we would break it down to make it a little bit more clearer about what specifically the calls were and how they were distributed. So previously they were all just lumped together as one large number. This way we kind of tried to split it so you could see what was specifically driven by complaints from the public and what was observed violations and stuff from the bylaw officer. And we highlighted specifically some priorities for the first quarter, and that includes our short-term rental bylaw enforcement. And the key takeaway for that one is that we've been consolidating with the provincial database that has kind of just gone through earlier last year to confirm that our numbers and theirs match. And that's certainly been very helpful in terms of identifying whether there are non-compliant short-term rentals in our city. And we've actually used the takedown portal through that process to remove one listing. And then we've also sent them additional letters through from our own software, but also the provincial software to help bring people into compliance. And we've driven a fair number of licensing questions, which have also helped spike filling up on our short-term rentals and getting everybody into compliance. And then the second highlight from there is our pet licensing. And so that expires, a dog license expires on the 31st of December of each calendar year. And so January is kind of the really busy period. We normally send in another reminder in late January, early February. We've also been posting some social media posts to just kind of remind folks. And the next step is going to be following up on delinquent licenses and issuing fines. We've done enough education in that piece now with the multiple letters and the social media that at this point, if you're unlicensed, your next step will be a fine. And I'm expecting that will be a fairly significant amount of people just based on the fact that we've only got 675 dogs licensed currently. And I believe the highest that we had was at the end of 2023 was approximately 830 or something to that effect. So there are a few delinquent licenses that haven't been followed up on at this time.
So that's only those that's only what our high watermark was. I'd be shocked if we had less than 3,000 dogs in Kimberley.
It seems that way sometimes, yes. And then we've also broken down the spreadsheet here a little bit further into comparisons from 2023 to now. Our streets and traffic fairly consistent around the 100 infraction mark there, 104 this quarter. And then animal control calls are significantly down. We've gone down from 45 in 2023 to 21 in this first quarter of 2025. But our good neighbor calls are up. So I'm not sure if that's just we're getting more people or if people are just kind of feeling their way through our bylaws at this time. But I feel like we've had a fair few successes in some of our more problematic good neighbor cases that have lingered. We had a couple of unsightly premises ones that have wrapped up that you may or may not have seen around town, but they're looking significantly better now. And those were on our books for a couple of years that we've just been working with those people.
So Sean, can you just describe what good neighbor is? What's the breadth of things when you say good neighbor?
Good neighbor is a fairly extensive category. It covers your unsightly premises. It covers noise bylaw. There's also idling, air pollution kind of thing. It kind of ties into your solid waste. There's fighting, swearing in public, those kind of things. We were working very closely with the RCMP on a couple of files. And I don't know if Sergeant Woodcock's touched on any of those ones, but we've kind of built up a good relationship there where they're now in a position and they're feeling comfortable with issuing municipal infraction tickets for our good neighbor bylaw for infractions that occur while I'm off duty. And then I represent those tickets in court if they go that far, which helps reduce the burden on having to leave the city to go to court, because I go down there anyway. So I take on that portion of it, and that helps drive turnover.
Yeah, cool. That is wide ranging.
Yeah.
Big.
Yes, it's quite a few. It's very broad.
Okay, thanks for that, Sean.
Questions?
Council? Go ahead.
Just a comment that now that I know that swearing is part of the good neighbor bylaw, I will be much more careful around my own neighbors now, and especially when you're around, Sean.
Thank you.
Especially at the council table. Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate you being here, and thanks for all the great work. Okay, next up, we have our administration update dated April 28th. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Cairns moves and Councillor Fox seconds. Jim, did you want to kind of give us the highlights?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I think we've got 13 pages here, so I'm not going to go through this in detail. There's nobody here from operations tonight, so I'll speak to some of the capital projects that are on the go. And just a heads up to Troy in the gallery, seeing as how he's here, I might hit him up on the planning stuff. There's a bunch of things starting off in the city as people will realize as they're out and about. One of the more visible projects is the St. Mary's Ave reconstruction right outside of City Hall here. So that's in full swing now. That'll be completed in September 2025. Kimiko Gardens rejuvenation, a much anticipated project that'll be getting underway here soon. I think in early May here. It'll be completed in the fall. Civic Center chiller replacement, there's some design work ongoing, but the actual chiller itself won't be going in until next year, just for a variety of reasons. Center 64 band shell and landscaping project, going to be another great addition to downtown here. That's going to be getting underway in May, completed in the fall. An active transportation project on Marsden Street. We recently were advised that we received the grant that we applied for that. So that's great news. And then water main replacement on 302nd Ave. So those are some of the big projects that are going on. We're also purchasing some fleet replacements this year. We just signed an agreement to purchase an electric Zamboni. And we're going to be purchasing another loader-mounted snow blower as well. Just final note on operations. Public Works Day is scheduled for May 21st. Again, this year, this is something that's been going on in the city for quite a while, and we invite everybody out to participate in that. It's always a great event for the kids and just the community in general to find out what goes on down at the yards there. Planning department's up next. So yeah, Troy, if you could please provide some highlights there, that'd be great.
Can do. Thank you, Jim. I'll keep it short too. Just a couple of quick highlights. The building permit activity report for the first quarter looks very positive. 50 dwelling units that we issued building permits for in the first 3 months. It's well above of the prior years, but I think that's a little bit of an oddity. I guess there was as council recalls, there was some recent building code changes that took effect as of March, and so there was quite a few permits that came in early to get in and ahead of those changes. So that was the seismic and lateral wind loading design changes and some of the adaptability requirements. So that I think that's one of the probably the explanation there. It's still looking like a pretty positive year for us so far, but I don't think we're going to be able to keep that same pace through the next three or the rest of the year here. Just another quick thank you again to council for the support in the restructuring of the department there. We've filled those new positions of planning technician and senior planner both in March. So that was, and they've hit the ground running on a number of different files. And just another note on the short-term rental activity, kind of relating to the questions about some of the licensing and the revenues from that. Of course, short-term rental licenses are renewed annually as well. So those renewals get sent out at the end of the calendar year for renewal in January. And so we've done very well to make sure that the majority of those have all been renewed, and even some new ones that we know have come in as well for this year. So at the end of the first quarter, there's 169 different units amounting to total potential maximum occupancy of 1,170 pillows, which is just slightly behind, but basically right on track to where we were at the end of the year last year with 176 units and 1,175 pillows. I was hoping, I'd meant to get just a quick update here before today, but I just too distracted with other stuff. So we'll have to wait for the next time for the more current update. So that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Troy.
Yep.
I would like to just also say thank you for the work on Friday with the downtown walking tour. We had almost 170 elected officials from all over the Kootenays in, and I don't know how many chose that particular tour, but it was I don't know, probably at least 30 or 40, and they got a real great summary of kind of what we've done and what we're doing, and I really appreciate your time and effort in doing that.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
And it was nice. The sun was shining. Yeah, could have been worse. Okay, next.
I see that our manager of community development and communications is in the gallery as well. So Pam, if you could just give a brief overview of.
I would love
Your
to just
section?
call attention to two things in particular. Over the last administration update, we've had about 100 more subscribers to our online newsletter for council meeting highlights and regular newsletters that we send out monthly. So if anybody's interested in signing up for that, it is an awesome way to receive a quick synopsis of what happened during the council meeting. Just head to kimberly.ca, City Hall, and it's just there under council meeting highlights and city newsletter. And also this past Saturday, we did hold the community cleanup. Last week, we held kind of a week-long cleanup event where all of the schools got on board, especially the high school cleaned up all that kind of mess up there. Lindsay Park went all over town site, Marysville Elementary, the independent school, all the schools got on board, which is incredible. We also had some local businesses, mostly those around the Plateau, who participated all last week. And, by the time Saturday rolled around, we pretty much had the town cleaned. I would say 60 people showed up on Saturday and head out in all directions. We did keep them from the 80-kilometer zone between Kimberley and Marysville. So you may notice that doesn't look as clean as it has in other years. And we did not hit the main entrances in between from Wycliffe to Kimberley and from Meadowbrook to Kimberley. We're going to work with Modi and hopefully get involved in the Adopt a Highway program, or WildSite will do that. And we were talking to Rotary about that as well, so that we can get those areas cleaned up safely and efficiently in future years. But other than that, the town looks great. Thanks so much to WildSite. Mountain Phoenix was involved in that, and the city of Cranbrook was involved in that committee as well. And it was just a phenomenal work.
Outstanding. Thanks for that update, Pam. Is that
Yeah, I'll just,
much
thanks
it.
Pam, that was a great update. One more communications tool that was rolled out earlier this month that I'll just highlight is the story map. Highlights a bunch of the major capital projects that are going on in town. We're just in the process of updating some of the information on there now that we're in the construction phase of a bunch of those projects, but it's another good tool. It's a map you can actually click in to find out where these projects are going on, and there's a blurb on each one to let you know what's going on. Corporate services, I don't know, Maurice, if you want to provide a brief overview on that.
So did you want to have your question first, Councilor McBain?
I just had one comment on the communication side of things. I recall when on my first term, when we had the candidates forum, there was a question about communication. And as somebody who was running for council like 6 months prior to, I'd started, doing a lot of research, and I found at that time we did the city was doing a pretty good job of providing enough information. And I just wanted to say, I think in that time frame between now and then, and a lot of it, Pam's has been developed by yourself and your team, but like we have taken things to the next level. I don't really, it's almost like you have to work to not get information. nowadays. So I just wanted to give extra kudos to the team because I think it's amazing how many tools that we have for people and just to keep people in the know. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Councillor McBain. Maurice? Oh, somebody, Sue, go ahead.
I mean, it's just actually to emphasize the great communication as well. You know, we had our local government conference this past weekend, and I was sitting with people at tables, and they were going, "Oh, well, do you know that so and so does these council highlights after each meeting, and how great that is, and everything that people were bringing up, all these different ideas, the different newsletters, and actually, I was going like." That's but then I'd look up their website and it's like, yeah, but they're not doing such and such. And they're, so I just, yeah, huge appreciation. I think it's really awesome. And then, the work that goes into this quarterly update is really extensive, and I'm sure it's very time consuming, and it really includes a lot of detail. And what I'm hearing from people is a great deal of appreciation. So yeah, just thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Sue.
So for corporate services, this quarterly update coincide with the start of the work for the annual report. So one thing that we decided to do is that each year, for the purpose of the annual report, we track some measures, and with corporate services, it's like how many meetings we've had, how many resolution, how many delegation, and things like that. So we decided to incorporate that into the quarterly administrative report so that we can track throughout the year where we're at. And that was the same thing that was done for the communication parts with Pam, because this is something that we track on an annual basis, and then the final report is in the annual report. So the annual report has a statutory deadline of June 30th. So this should come to council as in May, so that we can meet the statutory deadline following the financial statements that will be provided by BDO at the May 12th meeting. The other thing too that took a lot of time for, especially for Jasmine, it was the AKBLG. And there is one thing that corporate services staff is very grateful is Councillors Roberts' involvement this year, being part of the AKBLG committee and saving the day on some of the situations that were happening, and being personally involved to make sure that some people would be there and that things would happen in certain ways. So thank you very much for doing that. And
Thank you. I just would like to add a little bit about what actually that was. If you're, are you at the end of your?
No, I'm fine.
Yeah. Jasmine was kind enough to put a bunch of data together. I'll make it quick and to the point, but the Association for Kootenay Boundary Municipalities holds its annual meeting once a year, and Kimberly was charged with being the host this year. So part of the job of the committee is to make sure that it all works and decides what the theme is going to be, decides who the influential speakers are going to be. And that was very interesting, trying to find the most appropriate people to speak. And boy, oh boy, they had some juicy guys there. It was pretty interesting all the way through. So the final numbers aren't completely here yet, but there was 196 people or 69 people registered. 122 attended a welcome reception at Center 64 on Friday night. And it was an interesting event because people were also given a voucher for food. So people came to the reception and then went to eat, or they went to eat and then came to the reception, and it just kept going. We had music and alcohol and food, and a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience with using as caterers the Healthy Kimberly Food Recovery Group. It was absolutely fantastic. If you ever decide that you want to be hosting with a caterer, They just put on the most amazing plates of food. It was really, really special. The attendees for this event would be the mayors and councillors from throughout the region, many chief administration officers from the region, provincial government members, including MLA Scott McInnes. And there were 3 tours offered on Friday morning. One was the Kimberley Underground Mining Railroad, which was able to go ahead because there was snow had melted for the access to the mine. The other one was the downtown planning tour that was hosted by Troy. And the third one was the Sullivan Mine site tour, which was hosted by Tech. And of course, that largely looks at the whole reclamation project that has now received world-renowned recognition for the kind of work that Tech has done on that. Transit was provided by BC Transit, centering itself at Center 64, coming and going. And there was, that was really, really helpful. There was actually 230 tour individual trips taken up and down between the ski resort and Kimberley and Center 64. So all in all, a good time was had by all.
Thanks for that, Councillor
Yep.
Roberts. Council, anybody else want to make some comments about AKBLG? Okay, thanks for that. Is that it, Jim?
I think so, yeah.
There's lots more, I know. Anybody interested can actually look it up on the city website under agendas. Okay, next up, we'll call the question on the administrative receipt of the administrative update. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And I think I neglected to do the vote on the animal control, receipt of the animal control. So all those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. I think we. Anybody want to move that? Councillor McBain, thanks, and Councillor Fox seconds. Let's call the vote again. All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. All right. Next up, we have a petition that has been brought forward. The motion on the floor is that council receive the petition dated April the 8th. Mover, please. Councillor McGuire, thank you very much. Seconder, Councillor Fox. So everybody's had an opportunity to kind of read through that, and we had the correspondence that came in as part of the late items this morning. We actually have both parties that are here this evening, and so there won't be any decisions or broad discussion through this, but I think it would behoove us to allow both parties to take a couple of minutes and kind of explain what their position is. You guys okay with that? Yeah? Okay, go ahead. State your name and address.
Okay, my name is Tony Lazaro. I lived in 384 Fort Church Street, BC for over 50 years. Just a long time.
Awesome.
I've
Couple
been
of minutes,
seen,
Tony.
I've seen lots of neighbors come and go. Some of us had died, some of us still living. So anyway, I've been getting along with most of them until something happens all the time, right? For instance, dear mayor and council, we are here, myself and Ms. Kane over here, that about the business, the bread peddler on 379 Archibald Back Alley, I should say, because there is no business in the front. Is there such a thing? How would you like for somebody coming right in the backyard and walking your right beside your carport? You have things in there, don't you? Especially when you get people that you don't know. People from far, people from somewhere else, you don't know what they're thinking, right? So anyway, at the beginning, when this all started, Tim came and talked to me and to me and Riley. He told us that Kate and his wife and he was going to build a little oven for her, and baking was to be sold at farmers market. Of course, it was a lie. He never mentioned that they were going to have a clientele coming from the back alley. He never said that. By the way, one of the property owner got the notice that the bakery was going to be built. Why we never received that notice? All the neighbors, they should have received a notice that something like that was going on. You know, if a permit, whoever gave you the permit, before you give a permit, you should have notified all of us. There was no such thing. I asked all my neighbors, and there was no such thing. And the people there and that signed it and the notice here, they didn't receive anything. Mind you, probably might say, well, there was something on the internet. Who goes on the internet? I never do go into the internet to see what's going on. I see the council. But if I just receive a paper like this, a letter, of course I open it and see what's going on, right? So in that case, you guys or whoever gave it a permit should have given us a letter of intent of what was going on, okay? So anyway, afterwards, Riley Toplin was trying to talk to Tim and see if he could come up with an agreement, but no avail. Tim came up to me personally and tried to intimidate me that I was the only one complaining. All the neighbors like their bread, they like their whatever they were doing. That's fine. Maybe all the other neighbors, but a lot of the neighbors were coming to me and say, what the hell is going on? Why this is happening? Because everybody didn't want to infringe on their whatever they were doing, right? So, but you see, no one likes to speak up to the person they are, like to go to Tim or Kay to say something about it, okay? They may tell you that I got to the point that Mr. Toplin put his house for sale and moved because he didn't want to have anything to do anymore with Tim, because the way, no matter what he said, I got a permit. To hell, go away from me. You know, that's not right. And on top of it, because the Mr. Toplin was always getting up early in the morning, and they were burning their oven. Of course, then they choke it to keep the heat. And so what's happening is when there's a downdraft, you can't breathe that stuff. None of you would like to breathe that stuff. It smells horrible. When a downdraft comes down and puts all that stuff down and where you are. I was in a carport one day. I couldn't breathe. I had to go back inside. That is not right.
Take another minute or two, Tony.
What?
Another minute or two?
Yeah.
And then we have to move on.
Okay. The bread peddler has not done nothing to get their client to come from the front gate on Archibald. They, on the day of their business day, should have a sign to invite and to commit to some of these people to come from the front. Also, they park their own vehicle under the carport. That is where the client line up and across the alley. They should be removing their vehicle so their client could be under their carport and not coming underneath my carport to get some shade. License to build on a back alley, Mr. Mayor and Council. We are sure that no one of you, like I said before, none of you like to have so many people coming through your back alley. And people that have a shed, garage, and other stuff. A bike nowadays costing thousands of dollars. We do not want the public at large may have in mind. Please keep our alley for what they intended. for the community, for the people that live in that alley. Also, semi trucks backing up on 4 lots down our alleys. We made a sign to educate the public to use the front street entrance, where it's saying, patron, please use the front entrance on Archibald Street. Thank you, the neighbors. We do not think they are conveying this message to their customers. On a downdraft, do they have a catalytic converter or reburn the smoke? It is hard to be outside when the downdraft is on. Maybe they can have a much taller chimney. I don't know. But anyway, if
All right, thank you.
there's a lot of stuff there that I submitted, and
Have you submitted what you just, the sheet you have there now with the petition?
not this particular sheet. No.
Can you leave that with us?
Yeah, I can.
It'll give us all the information. Thank you, Tony.
Just a second.
Tim? Are you, okay,
Would you
Kate?
like to say something?
Thanks, Troy. Okay, Kate, go ahead.
You.
Don't be nervous.
I'm really nervous. I'm a baker.
It's all good.
Public speaking is not what I do happily. I'm not going to respond to everything that Tony has said. I feel like I wrote most of what I would respond in the letter that I sent. So if that can be read, that would make my position clear. What I'd like to suggest maybe is that we could set up a meeting with Tony and Tara and myself and someone from the city and just sit down and hash this out, because I'm certainly not trying to be an idiot. I'm trying to respond to their concerns. So that might help.
All right, awesome. Thanks for that, Kate. Okay, the motion on the floor is receipt of the petition. We're not going to go through kind of a large discussion tonight. I appreciate the suggestion for the mediation. We'll have that conversation with staff and get back to you both on that. Okay, I'm going to call the question, council, on receipt. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. All right, council, any comments or updates on any of the councillor assignments or responsibilities anybody wants to talk about? Nope. AKBLG kind of took up all of our time for the last 4 or 5 days. Did Councillor McBain, were you? No. Just agreeing with you. Okay, awesome. We do have an item in camera tonight, so if I could have a motion to go in camera. Councillor McGuire, thank you. And Councillor McBain seconds. All those in favor? All right, motion is carried. Thank you. Thanks for being here tonight, folks.